salvation, and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. Yes. Praying always with all prayers and supplications in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints.
Amen. Amen. Yes. Glory to God.
You see, that's what I was talking about a second ago, that we have to know that the devil doesn't want anything physical. He wants the spiritual. He sees what's in us, the spiritual fight is in us. Mm-hmm. You know, he sees what in us that will defeat him. And that's what he attacks, that he don't even like us walking in the Spirit. He doesn't want us to talk in the Spirit. You know, there's some things that he can understand when we talk in the Spirit, but he sees the physical weapons that God has given us in the Spirit.
Right.
Today, Samuel 17, 5 through 7. First Samuel 17, 5 through 7.
Information form, Samuel 1:1. According to MIT, Bible Gateway First.
And he had a helmet of brass upon his head, and he was armed with the coat of mail, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of brass. And he had greaves of brass upon his legs, and a target of brass between his shoulder. And the staff of his spear was like a weavered beam, and his spear head weighed 600 shekels of iron, and one barren shield went before him.
Yes.
And see, these are the physical weapons of Goliath. Mm-hmm. That Goliath had. That sometimes we look at the physical appearance of something that scares us.
All right.
Mm-hmm. All right. You know, but because if Saul seen the spiritual weapons that the Philistines had, you know, Saul and his armies would have said, "Man, look at this army. This army can defeat us."
Come on.
Yeah. You know.
Exactly.
And sometimes we have to see, as Christians, we supposed to walk in the Spirit. We don't supposed to see the physical outer appearance of something that scares us, you know, because God didn't give us fear. He gave us a power of sound mind.
That's right.
Sometimes we have to look at the spiritual form instead of the physical form that scares us, but the boldness, sometimes we have to stand in boldness and courage against those who try to attack us.
Right.
Samuel 17, 34 through 37. Chapter 17, verse 17. 1 Samuel 17, 34 through 37.
Okay.
Yeah.
And David said unto Saul, thy servant, keep his father's sheep. And there came a lion and a bear, and took the lamb out of the flock. And I went out after him, and smote him, and delivered him out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his breast, and smote him and slew him. Thy servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he had defiled the armies of the living God.
Yes. Yeah.
David said, moreover, the Lord that delivered me out of the paws of the lion and out of the paws of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hands of his Philistine. And Saul said unto David, go, and the Lord be with thee.
Yeah.
Amen.
And see, that's what we need to know today, that God is with us. He
Yes,
fights
he is.
our battles.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's already ahead of us, fighting our battles. This is what stood out to me, that when David was against Goliath. Now, can you imagine? David was a youth. He was no more than what my son's age, Kavion's age, fighting a Goliath, a big man of sort. And me and my wife, we was talking about, the basketball player, one of the basketball players, Chinese basketball player, Yao Ming. There you go. He was, he's like, he said that he stood like 7 foot, 6 inches tall. And it's just like a little boy going against a man. And, he's about to physically fight this man. But, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but when Saul had gave David the armor to put on to fight, it said that he wasn't experienced
Right.
to carry the sword and the physical armor that Saul had gave him. But he had took it off. Sometimes that the physical weapons that men give us, sometimes we're not capable of. If you never had tried to use something, you're not experienced of using it. You can't fight with it.
Come on.
And David said that I can't use this because I'm not experienced enough to carry this. And you know that sometimes that sling that God gave David to fight Goliath with, it was like a weapon that God gave him to use. And he said he had picked 5 stones from the pool that that was near him. And sometimes God give us weapons, like I say, God give us weapons to defeat what's in front of us that interrupts our peace.
Yeah.
And if we would have known that, what we know now, I believe that, the devil, he would have tried to attack us, but it really wouldn't affect us, because, we know what kind of God we serve.
Yeah.
42, I'm going to read, we're going to read 42, I'm going to read 42 to 44, my wife's going to read 45. And when the Philistines looked about and saw David and disdained him, for he was but a youth and ruddy and of a fair constance, and the Philistines said unto David, am I a dog that thus comest to me with a staff? And the Philistines cursed David by his gods. And the Philistines said to David, come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air and the beasts of the field. And see, that what stood out to me, that 42 says, and when the Philistines looked about and saw David, well, disdain stood out to me. Disdain is that it's one a Goliath that we have, that when we try to do something and try to defeat something or stand against something, somebody says, oh, you can't do that. Somebody say, you can't do that, you can't have that. this thing that I wrote is that they have no respect, no honor for one person. And that's what, even David fighting Goliath had that something that's standing in front of him, but he also had people, the armies, saying that, oh, look at this little kid, he can't defeat our soldier that's been fighting since he was a kid. Now he's a man, and this little kid coming up to me wanting to fight. But David stood against the armies and Goliath because he knew God was with him.
Yeah.
45, honey.
Then said David to the Philistine, Thou comest to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a shield, but I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied.
And see, that stood out to me, that God is with us. See, that all the trials and tribulations that I had along the way to get here today, first of all, God already knew that I would be sitting here.
Yeah.
And he's still removing things that's try to be in my way. My life consists of going to work and coming home, and most of my activities are at work, because even though I step out every day, wherever I might be, I put on the full armor of God.
Yeah.
It's because God, or the devil knew, my weaknesses too. He know me, he know that when I was in the streets, what people would have come up to me and said, and I'm like, oh, let's go, But God know that when somebody see me, they see the Spirit of God on me.
Amen.
They already know at my job, like, Jamie, I'm sorry. They might cuss. They say, oh, I'm sorry that I said that because I know you're a Christian. I'm sorry for what I said because, they have that respect.
Yeah.
Respect for me.
Right.
46. 1 Samuel 17, 46. I'm sorry.
That's okay. You had it on the paper. I got it. I switched it to the other one that you. Okay, there we go.
This day will the Lord deliver thee into my hands, and I will smite thee, and take thy head from thee, and I will give the carcasses of the host of the Philistine this day unto the fowls of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel.
Yes.
Amen. Amen.
And see, that's what we have to do. We have to do that every single day. We have to put on our armor every single day to defeat the devil. It's because that when we're out, not even the people see the spiritual form of God around us. Other people see it too, and they'll come and it's just maybe that day somebody didn't have a good day, and they like sometimes that happens to me that because I try to look in the best of people, the smile, yesterday, my boss we had a meeting that it said that customer service, talk to your customers and say hi, how you doing, you know, all of the customers at my job were Spanish, so I done been there 3 years, so I'm saying buenos dias and estada, you know, good evening. I'm gonna stop, there it go. There it go. And they really smile at me because they saying, you know, they may think like, this is a black man, you know, Spanish, you know, he's trying, and it, you know, it kind of sound funny to me, but I see what he's talking about, you know. And
Hallelujah.
the other guy was sitting, taking pictures, and I seen him take pictures. He may have been of, what you call it, a secret shopper. And he's looking around, taking pictures and stuff. And I said, how you doing, sir? He looked at me, looked up, he like, and I'm like that, you know. And it's just, you know, I should have, it's just some things that I know that God give me to make a person smile and have a good day, that sometimes we have to do that, you know.
Hallelujah.
Yes, amen.
But it is with God, you know, and with Jesus, that we have to know God gives us strength, and we have to know that the Lord is our strength.
Amen.
You know, and He wants us to be bold and courageous, just like David. You know, even though David had so many circumstances that he had to go through, he knew that this is God's army. You know, we're not afraid of, they might have, they might have swords and shields, but we have the true living God that's behind us.
Amen.
And that's the thing that we have to know, that God is always with us.
Amen.
And that's all I have.
Amen.